We're here to chat about solutions and scaling with two of my new friends. And I'd like to invite to the stage first Miss Joanne Pasternack from the Golden State Warriors. Great to see you. Have a seat. I'm going to try and do this without putting my back to the audience. That's tough in this setup. Okay,
I feel like I should talk about what fashion I'm wearing today.
Well, however you like. You're the guest.
Outlet mall.
And neither of us are getting neither of us are getting paid for this, so let her rip.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. So I have to ask before we jump into purpose and the Warriors, and which is very exciting. There's nothing like sport to connect people with purpose. But I understood from your bio that you met Pope Francis. Is that true?
I did.
Wow. Okay, so I'm having a celebrity moment by osmosis. But I have to ask, was he cooler than Zeev Klein? Was he?
He has so much pep in his step. It was really inspiring to see the energy.
You're talking about Zeev or Pope Francis?
Zeev has a little bit more sophistication.
All right.
No, but Pope Francis, I was part of a convening Sports for Humanity where 200 delegates were brought together to talk about how we could leverage the power of sport to impact social change and good in the world.
Right.
Pope Francis convened the group because, frankly, he's a huge fan of soccer, or as they call it, football. But he's a huge fan of soccer and just wanted to really see how that passion could be shared among so many people from so many different places. But I will tell you, he just emanates this incredible energy, and it was a great honor to be there.
Well, you know, there have only been two Francises in the last 2,000 years, so that's a pretty big deal.
He's the second, yeah.
In any case, good. So we were talking a little bit earlier about how you create and generate impact.
High budget.
Like I said, high budget, high budget.
I do have quick reflexes.
Yes,
so,
there you go.
Yeah.
You were a figure skater, and
yeah.
that's where the reflexes came from. So how you generate impact and sport, and you talked a little bit about storytelling.
Sure.
Talk to us about that.
So many of us can remember where we were when a specific sports moment happened. We can remember the impact that somebody may have had, that moment that we felt. I can tell you for me right now, it's very timely. We lost Dwight Clark yesterday after a very short battle with Lou Gehrig's or ALS, and he is a dear friend of mine. But I will tell you, I've been thinking about it a lot. People remember the catch. They remember where they were, and I did work for the 49ers for a number of years, so it's a moment that is close to my heart. But do they know the man behind the catch? Do they know what he stood for and the legacy that he'll leave? And that is the power that sports has to connect people. Because while you're standing there and you're watching on TV or in person or listening on the radio to a great moment in sport, you're connecting with people, and people believe that they know you when you're a professional athlete. And so what we do in the world of sports philanthropy is we take that moment, and we take that passion, we take that excitement, and we leverage that to be able to bring visibility to amazing causes. And what we do most of all is try to find the story behind that cause.
So what have you learned about finding the story behind it? You work with a lot of extraordinary athletes, and you've worked in your career with many athletes. Yeah. How do you help them leverage that opportunity?
You know, honestly, it's the same way we get to know anybody. I had a terrific professor when I was an undergraduate, Marty Seligman, who talked about points of connection. And I think about that all the time, because even when you think you're as divergent as you possibly could be from somebody, you can find some place where you intersect.
Yeah.
So what I've found over the years is by sitting down one-on-one, whether it's in a car as we're driving to an event, or whether it's in the cafe, or I connected with one athlete when he was struggling to install a car seat in his car, and I had the same one, and my hands are smaller, so I got the car seat installed. But it was that moment of connection where you start to talk and you start to find out what's really important. So many of the professional athletes grew up looking up to other athletes. And when you find out what's at their core, if you think about chi in your center right here, what is it that drives them? What drives them on the field or on the court or on the pitch is often very different than what drives them off the field, pitch, or court. And so I found that the more I took the time to get to know who they were as people, the more I found out about why they were showing up at these community events.
Right. What drives you?
What drives me? Gosh. I love sport, but I also love being able to see that light in somebody's eyes. My brother was a left-handed pitcher growing up, and my dad took him to an A's Fan Fest event, and his favorite pitcher took the time when he was 7 years old to show him how to throw a changeup. And then he signed a ball for my brother. My brother took that ball and has taken it with him everywhere he's gone. Wow. He left a career in wealth management last year to be a high school baseball teacher at a low-income school in North Vegas. And I think about the impact that athlete had on my brother. I had the opportunity to meet that athlete at the Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame event. And when I told him this story, he got emotional. And he looked at me and he said, I wish I could remember that moment. And then what I say to athletes all the time is, it doesn't matter if you can remember the specific moment, it's just enough to know that that moment is going to last potentially for a lifetime for that young person.
Well, so our moments don't last for a lifetime here. So
correct, I know.
I am now
9 minutes and 51 seconds.
Excited, but we're on schedule.
Yes.
I'm now excited to introduce Sandra Martinez from HARMAN. We're supposed to do this, right? There we go. Great. So, Sandra, what motivates you?
What motivates me? I get up every day to contribute to this amazing company to drive growth, and we do that by bringing the great best people that we can find. So really bringing fantastic people to join the team and join our mission. That's really what drives me and motivates me every day.
And by the way, your company, HARMAN, has done extraordinarily well the past 5 or 6 years, and growth has been really phenomenal. And I'll also point out, as a business school professor, I love impact, I love nonprofit, I love the arts deeply, but it is the business infrastructure that gives us the resource to be able to express ourselves and do the things we need to do. So you have a big goal between now and 2025 to grow from 9 billion to 20 billion.
That's correct.
In anybody's book, that's aggressive. What role does talent play, your role?
We have a very critical role. Actually, that's what keeps me up at night, right? How are we going to find the talent, and how are we going to develop the talent who's going to help us drive that growth and reach that target? But I'm not concerned about it. You know, I'm personally what HR likes to label as a boomerang employee, or what our CFO would say, a returning asset. I used to work for HARMAN years ago, and I left the organization for other opportunities. And at that time, I saw the growth that the company experienced. And last summer, they reached out to me to offer me this amazing opportunity. And just seeing the talent that had driven the growth from where we were 7 years ago to now, and seeing that most of the people are still there, believing in the same cause, and led by an amazing CEO who's so passionate about not only the business mission, but also the people, right, in the organization. That's what made me come back. And I know that working with this team of people is just a matter of having the right strategy and the right approach to get the right people motivated to join us.
And your CEO has extraordinary passion for the business, and as you explained earlier, it rubs off on everybody else. He also has a life experience, and you yourself had a formative life experience growing up in Spain. How does that relate to your career path now?
I think, we all are a result of our experiences and our learning behaviors when we're growing up. I personally grew up in Barcelona, Spain. I was a second generation to a family that started their own business, very entrepreneurial, at a time where the country was coming out of a civil war, post-war. And my family never had an opportunity to go to college or really.
And I think it's important to underscore, because it's really shocking when you think about it. Franco, the fascist dictator of Spain, he only passed away in the 1970s.
75. So 75. I was like, yeah, I will give my age away, but I was 3 years old by then.
But it's very recent for the country.
Yeah.
So you were seeing the country growing up in a transition.
Exactly.
And how did that put you on the track to business, to commerce?
Right, so to me, I experienced that entrepreneurship, and I was the first generation with the opportunity to have access to education and to learn and approach business from a more, I would say, structured way, right? And in a way, that's a little bit similar to the experience that Dinesh Paliwal, our CEO, went through at a different scale. He grew up in India. He grew up in a pretty humble family, out of 7 siblings. His dad actually happened to be a social leader who worked close to Mahatma Gandhi, fighting for social rights in India. So Dinesh also grew up in a situation that was very conducive for him to really take it personally, right? When you live through that, you bring that to business in a way where your passion translates into the decisions that you make and how you attract people, and how you really align everyone with that mission, and it's through that passion that people follows and help you drive causes that seem impossible to achieve.
So this is a question for both of you. You're both about identifying, articulating the passion, the mission of your organizations, and then going out and discovering people who will be part of the movement, whether they're employees or fans or athletes or whatever it happens to be. Share a story from your experience, something that surprised you, touched you, impacted you in some way about finding or helping someone else find that purpose and translate it into action. Joanna, you shared a couple earlier.
Sure. For the athletes, everybody has a philanthropic passion. Sometimes they just need a little bit of help finding it. So one example that really stands out to me is a gentleman named Patrick Willis, linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers, probably a future Hall of Famer. And he showed up without fail, with no obligation to do so, at almost every community event. Every Tuesday, he would be out there at a hospital, at a park, at a community center, side by side with his teammates, and he would recruit others to join him. But every time we'd put the microphone and try to get that sound bite, he would say the same exact thing. He'd say, "It's a blessing to be here." And finally, one day, I just pulled him aside and I said, "Pat, you keep saying it's a blessing, and I get that, but what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, it's a blessing." I said, "Let's dig deeper. Why? You could be doing anything. It's your one day off. Why are you here, and why do you come here week after week?" And he shared with me at that moment that he had lost a brother when he was very young, and he felt like he didn't have an opportunity to save his brother. And so each time...
I understand, his brother drowned, correct?
Yeah, yes, and he did not know how to swim. And so he felt like each week when he would come out and he would make a child smile or make a parent feel uplifted in some way, that he was lifting his brother up a little bit, and he was doing something that he didn't have an opportunity to do. So once he had shared that and he started to share that more broadly, it became part of his personal why he was showing up, and also gave more purpose to why he was coming. And when he shared that with his teammates or with others, they would follow suit and come out and share more openly, and it was transformative. And I shared with Robert that just this morning, he texted me because he's out watching one of his other siblings play spring ball, and he said, "I'm talking to my brother about why he's doing what he's doing." Wow. And so you think about it, it gives you the opportunity to help change lives.
Wow, that's beautiful. Sandra, something that touched you, something that affected you in your journey?
I think going back to my background, right, I realized early on in my career that the unconscious bias was a reality. And it's not just about how you look on what gender you are. To me, it was something that was more related to a way of thinking, or a way of just your personal leadership style. And early in my career, all I wanted to do was to be part of a global organization, a large company where I could learn from other cultures. And I happened to be in a consulting group with people from all over the world, but mainly was a very American culture. And I realized that my personal style, which required a little more of a balance between using all your social energy during the day and having that quiet time or time to recover, didn't necessarily align with the expectations from that organization, where they they were measuring you 24/7, and they expected you to be there with your team nonstop. And I suffered from that. I was considered eventually like I was not a true team player because I didn't want to go along to all the events and so forth. And I realized back then that sensitivity sometimes was missing. And that organization actually made huge strides on that regard, because they realized they were losing a lot of people, especially from other cultures, other countries, who they didn't align with that more fraternity-like type of work environment. So they did learn. But I also learned from that, right? I learned that I had to adapt in a way, which is not necessarily good, because part of the diversity and inclusion strategy is to make sure that everyone is comfortable being authentic and being themselves, not necessarily adapting to the style that is considered to be the right style. So to me, it went both ways. Personally, I started also to make choices in terms of career opportunities where I found places where I could thrive with my own personal style, because I realized that if I was constantly battling, trying to fit in, I was just running against the current and running out of personal energy. So to me, that was my lesson learned.
So we're coming down to the end. Last question, and it has to be brief. What is your favorite word and why? Just in general. Doesn't have to be relevant. Your all-time favorite word in any language and why?
I think resilience.
Resilience,
yeah.
Great. Joanne?
Gosh, fortitude?
Fortitude and resilience. I see a trend.
Yeah.
So Joanne, it is a blessing to be here. I have to agree with that. Points of connection, I think we've found here in this brief discussion. I ask everybody to think about, what is that moment with the baseball? We all have one. How can we give one to somebody else? Sandra, the social energy, how people interact, what drives them, what makes them their best, what helps them reach authenticity. Jean-Jacques Rousseau said that from authenticity comes our greatest power. And I think that's our job.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.